any other 4-H thank you? Don't have to report. It's just if somebody wants to share their 4-H thank you, because there are 5 of you, you are welcome to. And we love the stories. I'll give it 27 seconds of silence. Yes, sure.
So for me, it was today actually that the Costa coffee shop near me has just reopened finally. And I guess I never really appreciated how much I appreciate the coffee shops that are open when they're open, and I just take it for granted. So humanity is the person I would like to thank is the barista who served me my coffee. With my head, it gives me the boost of caffeine in the morning when I'm doing the school run. And it's just really nice to just get a nice hot cup of coffee. Well, I actually got an iced coffee today because it was quite warm. With my heart, I feel appreciation that they are now back serving. It was something that you don't really realize until you haven't got it, how much it's just a luxury that you appreciate. And it's something so small, but really, really nice. And the hand is that we bought some ice creams from the Tesco next door, and we gave them to the baristas behind the coffee counter. Just gave them some of the ice creams from Tesco.
Wow. That's amazing.
Lovely.
You make me excited to live, Shira. No, really. I just excited to be in a world with people. I'm so excited by that story.
So that's my my 4-H.
Wow, that is amazing. Wow, gosh, that's fantastic. And we're soon going to come to the introduction. Somebody can do the introduction activity, but one more. If anybody else wants to share their 4-H thank you, you are welcome. And if not, we will move on. Okay, so this week we are asking the joyful Joyce to please share with us, who are you?
Okay, I was not prepared, just so we know. So I think I'm going to backtrack a little. So just to let all of you know, my grandparents on my mother's side are my only surviving relatives from the Holocaust. They come from a line of religious people from Transylvania, but they gave up religion because of the Holocaust. They moved to Bucharest, where my mother was born. And they became atheist. My mother, when she was 15, got on a boat to Chile with her family, where then she met my father. I have a Chilean father. They were married. They got divorced. And my mother remarried an American and who's Catholic. And I moved to New York. So I was brought up as a Catholic. Because my mom is an atheist, didn't care either way. So I grew up actually going to church because I felt the need to pray, and I had no other ideas. I've never celebrated a Jewish holiday with my mother or in my house ever until I left when I was 18 and became my own person. My dad did remarry an Israeli, and they're conservative, but I never went to him. So I really had no interaction. But from a very young age, I felt some form of calling. I didn't know what it was, but something inside of me. I mean, I was going to church when I was 10, but I had a problem because I wouldn't kneel. When everybody else would kneel to pray, I wouldn't kneel. So eventually I got kicked out of church and I was not allowed to go back anymore. And then when I turned 18, I went to university, and I think it obviously must have been a couple months into university, and I see this huge van blasting music and men dancing outside, and I'm like moving to the other side because I have no idea what they're doing. And one of the men runs up to me and says, "I think you need this." And he hands me something that I've never seen in my life. And I look at it, I said, "What is this?" He goes, "It's Hanukkah, and this is a Hanukkah and candles, and I think you should light it." So I asked him how to do it, whatever. I totally forgot about it. About a year later, I started getting more interested, and I decided I'm going to go to Chabad. And long story short, from all of that interaction, I studied a lot. I then met a boy from Yeshiva University. who was my boyfriend, but we broke up. But before we broke up, I needed something to get me closer to religion. And one of the rabbis suggested I go to the mikveh. And I said, but I thought I'm not allowed to go to the mikveh. He goes, well, in your situation, I think it's good. And you can become like a Baal Shuva. You can come back. And this way you'll feel better about yourself. So I went to a mikveh in Ocean Parkway.
Well, can you just explain what a mikveh is?
For those people, yeah.
It's a ritual bath that normally religious women go in before they're married, or every month after their menstruation, they go to reunite with their husband. But I went, I had no idea what I was doing, and they were extremely horrible to me. Like the woman took a scouring pad to my body, like literally scouring pad. She cut my toenails and nails to the point where some of them were bleeding. Really horrible experience. And until that point, I had also been unwell, and I hadn't gotten my actual period for 10 months. So when she asked me, can I check you? I said, well, I haven't had a period. She actually checked me herself. After I left, I actually had a good feeling, even though during was awful. The next day I got my period, and the next day I became kosher. And a week later, that boy broke up with me. And when he broke up with me, I started studying, and I became Shomer Shabbat. So on my own, with no family, no friends, nothing, I became kosher and Shomer Shabbat. And I feel that—
Sabbath observant.
Huh?
Sabbath observant. I've just—
Oh yeah, like cut the toilet paper, turn off the light bulb in my fridge, like, yeah, proper. Except then I went to synagogue for 2 years, and not one family invited me for a meal or a holiday. 2 full years. I spent 25 hours by myself. So obviously slowly, but because of this whole experience, I came to Judaism. Even though I'm born Jewish, I never had it. And now when I look back, there's so many coincidences in my life that brought me to this point. My kids have always gone now to Jewish day school. I'm not Shomer Shabbat anymore, but I have 2 kids that are Shomer Shabbat on their own, nothing to do with me. I do Shabbat every Friday. We go to synagogue every Saturday. And it's still funny for my mother to handle it because she is an atheist. She doesn't know anything. Like when I traveled to Spain, she asked me to bring her a Serrano ham. I said, Mom, I'm not buying a ham. She goes, no, come on, just bring it. Nobody will know. I'm like, I'm not bringing you a ham. Like, yeah, so that's my story. And now I'm here, and I spend my life learning and try to become a better person. And I think looking back, I think I was really born Jewish with a Shema. And I think it just needed to come out. And I needed certain people in my life to help me bring it out. And yeah, that's my story.
Wow.
That's incredible.
In a nutshell.
That's amazing resilience that you spent 2 years isolated and not feeling a sense of community or friendship, and yet for some reason, I don't know what the reason is. What made you hold on to it when it wasn't particularly pleasant?
Because I always felt it. So I gave up being Shomer Shabbat, but I realized at that point, when I even during that, I decided I'm only dating Jewish boys. I wasn't even going to go on a date with a non-Jewish person. I actually had, at that point, I went to Sephardic synagogue, even though I'm born Ashkenazi. Because I'm being from Chile, I felt very Latin and much more connected to the Sephardics. And yeah, and I just stuck with it. And as I said, I really do believe in that you're born with a Shema, and my Shema is very strongly Jewish. And it just needed guidance, and all those little people in my life helped me get to where I am, to the point where I helped the Chabad of Upper East Side build their new mikveh, because my experience was so atrocious. There was 2 articles, one in the New York Times and I think the Wall Street Journal, where they interviewed me about the mikveh, because I was trying to do everything I can to promote it and have other people have a better experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't want to. I'm deeply moved by your spirituality. It's bad show to say, oh, this is something that happened to me, but just I'm not going to go into the details. But I went to a monastery for 10 years as well when I grew up.
Yeah.
And I went to church as well, and so I share that journey with you.
Yeah.
That craving.
Interesting.
Yeah, craving for something, but if you're not presented with Judaism, all I was presented with was Catholicism.
Right.
But what's very funny to add to the story, my stepfather's first wife was also Jewish from Scarsdale, New York, and she converted to Episcopalian. So the story there's a lot of stories. One day I'll tell all of them.
And to all the non-Jews on this group, it's not that Jews were like not loving the whole world. It's just a sense of Jewish identity or Christian identity or whatever it is. We're just happy with our identity, just so that people don't get the wrong idea.
No, exactly. I think to backtrack on that one, I think we're all born with distinctive souls, and whatever that soul needs, you need to feed it, whether it is to be Jewish or Christian or Muslim or Buddhist. We all have a soul, and each one of us needs a different thing, and none of it's wrong, but it's just you need to feed whatever your soul needs.
Wow. Thank you for sharing, Joyce. That was, to know there's such powerful people in this group with such strong souls is very humbling.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I promised, I think it was Shira, that we'd show a video of teacher responses. So this particular, before going on with the next video. And I said to Nomi, oh, which one should we do? Maybe we should push on. And Nomi said, no, do you remember the rule? Don't rush ahead with material unless, if somebody asks a question, slow down and calm down. So I don't think we're going to show the next video in the series because I want to show it. And I'm so excited. But because we're just going to slow down and answer Shira's question. And I'd like to share with you a video that's on our website that is a response from teachers, how they react to working with kids in the classroom and applying Loving Classroom. Okay, so here goes the share screen.
And Simone, please, can you mute yourself for this?
And hopefully this does the job. So this is the homepage of Loving Classroom, just so you know where it is. And if you look at the main menu, it's humanity, head, heart, hand. And I was tickled pink that H is also for help. So that was pretty cool. And if you go under the head section, you'll find online training. That's where the 32 videos that we're going through most weeks to be found. Or if you want to go to personal training, where we do in-person training at the schools because sometimes the staff need it or the headmaster wants it for all sorts of reasons, you will find various videos and bits and pieces, including this one on teacher feedback. So I'm going to play this video for you, and it's about 6 or so minutes long. Actually, it's but 8 actually, but it's entertaining, I think. And this is the teacher feedback. Why Loving Classroom?
It's really enriching for the children. I think they have an opportunity to be themselves in the classroom, and they're learning about having their own voice and being able to voice their opinions in a controlled and safe environment, but they're also able to express themselves to their full potential. So you're getting the best of both worlds, having the control but also having the self-expression at the same time. I think they're learning to accept other people for who they are. There's, particularly in this area where the school is based, they have a lot of issues socially with different people because they're different, and they're starting to get that just because they're different doesn't mean that they are a horrible person or a nasty person, and they're learning to open up and open their hearts and be kind to others and just be friendly and good individuals, really. Well, I had one girl who came to see me yesterday, or the day before, and she'd been having some problems with some girls in her year. And I basically had said to her, look, remember what we discussed in Loving Classroom on a Friday, so just be kind to them and accept them because they could be just having a bad day. and they sometimes need someone to be kind to them and show them kindness, and then they'll respond with kindness back. And if you go in negatively, then they're going to be negative as well, and it's not going to go very far. It's like that story with the who shouted first and why did they shout first, and happy people don't shout and stuff. So she went back out and she spoke to them and she was kind, and then they were kind back and it was resolved. And she said, like, it's good advice and stuff, and she just was worried about it escalating, because normally it would with her, but it just showed that those practices do actually work, so it's good. So most of the students, when they wrote the letter, when I first initially said to them, think of someone who makes you mad or frustrated, they were all like, you can tell when they're scribbling, and they're really fiercely scribbling because they feel very mad. And then when we did the reflection exercise and we looked at the pictures, and their mood changed, and suddenly they went from talking to each other and scribbling furiously to silent and quiet and slow writing, and it was really reflective, and the energy in the room shifted. And then I'd said to them, how was that different? And they said that we're able to express their feelings, but in a positive way, and say, although you've upset me, you are my best friend, you are very kind, and you are very funny, and these are the positive things about you. And although we've gone through a lot, I still love you, still care about you. And it was great to see that side of them, where they were very honest and open, and they were able to say, although I'm hurt and I'm sad, I still love you the same, that doesn't change. And as soon as I mentioned the 2 letters with the dad situation, they were like, oh, that's like my letter, that's what happened with my letter and stuff. A few of them were quite shy to read out their letters, but they were able to express the emotion behind it, which I felt was the principle of the exercise anyway, and that they were able to show the difference in the writing style just from having that moment of reflection and having that quiet time to really feel relaxed and happy. So it was a great exercise, and it really showed the split difference between just even watching the children writing their letter, going from scribbling mad on their book to like being really neat and tidy, so it was good. Well, we kind of, what I'm trying to do at the moment is I'm trying to relate the project back to their local community, because I think that when they think about the bigger world and the wider world, our children, many of them haven't even really been out of Manchester before, so they don't know what the outside world is really like. So when you start relating it back to the community and you say, okay, you can make a difference, you can change the world, you just don't know it, and you don't know how to go about it, and you start talking about things that they're passionate about and they care about, and things that they feel fiery about, these discussions spark off, and they think, I really want to do a project, I want to do this. And some of them have started approaching senior members of staff saying, can we raise money for this, can we do an event for this, because I really cared about it. And they're starting to take ownership for the things that they feel passionately about, and I'm hoping, and actually I'm confident, that that ownership and that passion will continue when they're adults, and they'll remember all the values that we've taught them and put them into place when they're adults and they're working and someone upsets them. They'll be able to think, happy people don't shout, so I'm not going to raise my voice, and I'm going to be kind, and we're going to deal with it in a positive way as opposed to screaming at each other. So I think it's going to be really beneficial for the future, I really do.
I'm really enjoying the Loving Classroom at the moment. I'm really enthusiastic about it because when I first received the PowerPoint, I did a quick run through of it so that I could refresh myself and remind myself of what questions the children might ask. So I did my research, but for me, I think it's more interesting the fact that I'm also learning along with the kids. So sometimes it's nice that I can't always answer the questions because we have a discussion about it, and then as a group we decide what we'd like to come up with instead of just the teacher that's always stood at the front of the classroom wheeling off what we're going to do, and that we can actually talk and sit down, decide whether that's a good answer or a bad answer. So I really enjoy the things on the PowerPoint that especially are influential in our world now, especially in lesson 2 I think it was, when we was talking about the charities. I think the charities was really interesting, and especially because the kids weren't aware of like charities that got brought up like that, especially the Help the Children one, the Saving the Children. The kids were really interested in that particular charity for the fact that a child themselves had started up the charity, so that got a massive engagement within the class, and they was really interested in it. So yeah. Yeah, because when they first started to come into the room, they sat in their friend groups and they sat like away from each other. But then, like I found today, especially like we've just come back after half term, like the tables were a lot more mixed up than they normally are. Like people who used to sit on separate tables with their friends have now started to mix away. And although it's something really small and simple, like it's actually quite a massive change. And it was nice because every time I get them to do like a quick table discussion, it means that it's not always with the same people and they're more focused on tasks then because they've got new opinions and new ideas brought to the table. So it was nice to see. The whole energy just is more calm, they're more relaxed, they're more engaged because they get to listen and they get to learn and they love voicing their opinion, and that's what I like, the fact that they'll put the hand up and then they'll ask questions and they'll argue their points. And sometimes like it's been really nice because we've had people say one thing and somebody say something else and it's a completely different discussion, and then at the end it's resolved, which is really nice. Like today's lesson, for example, when we did the car argument and what was the cause of the shouting in the car, one group of boys thought it was funny to go away and be like, it's always her fault, it's always the woman's fault. But then the girls actually sat down and really got into it and was like, well, no, actually, he was annoyed at himself, not her. And I was just like, that's really good. And then the boys were like, yeah. And then it was nice because I think they wanted to be silly, but they liked the fact that they got told the right answer, because then they thought about it and it was like, well, yeah, that does make sense. But boys being boys thought that they were just being silly, but it was nice.
Okay, there you have it. Stop share. Welcome back.
You know what I liked about that? I liked when they said that the teacher isn't the only one doing the teaching, and that the children meet halfway with the teacher, because my mother's actually just had her class of 67, I love that number, reunion. And she said it was phenomenal yesterday because all of them met on Zoom from all over the world, and were all telling their life stories. But she said the majority of the life stories, they were really traumatized at school. They were really traumatized by the teachers, and they've had to, some of them were told they would never amount to anything by teachers, and they left school with very low results, but they've become like top doctors in the world. She said it's been so interesting to see because now they're over 70, and it's been so interesting to hear the stories. But I think what I love the most is the meeting halfway between the student and the teacher in this particular program, because I think that's exactly what the teachers from our school phoned me. My son was quite disruptive. Then we all got locked down, and the teachers have phoned to say they've got a different child. They've got a completely different child at home. And I said, it's because he has to meet you halfway. You can't really disrupt, but you have to meet him halfway. You're listening to him, he's meeting you. So you're meeting halfway, so there's peace. And therefore you can just teach and he can just learn, and it's working. So I think I like that it's both sides.
Right. Also, something else that I was very taken with was the teacher said, I'm also learning something from this. It's like, it's not just for the kids, but I'm going through this and it's meaning something to me as well. Because we've just about finished all the training videos, but we realized that we had to make sure that the book was in sync now with the training videos, because we changed a couple of things here and there. So we went through the book again. I've been through the book quite a number of times and editing it as well and everything, but each time I go through it's like, oh wait, I haven't been doing that. I should be doing that every day. So we need to, it's like exercise, relationship education. We have to on a daily basis be thinking about how do I behave.
What was that story? You had an example of that. Somebody phoned you up and you, look, it was just literally that day you were editing.
The shopkeeper.
The store.
Yeah, oh, that's why I was talking to you. Yes.
What's the story? In short.
Well, today is our daughter's birthday. She's 20 and everything, and I've been trying not to go out very much. I had to go out and get something. I was it was like an errand day, and I was going out, and somebody just had a baby, so I went into a shop and I bought a gift. And while I was there, I thought, I was standing in line. I thought, well, you know what, I can get something for my daughter for her birthday, and I was just like standing in the line, and I just like grabbed something. And when I got home, I realized that actually wasn't what I thought it was, but it was because I wanted to get out of there really quickly, standing with my mask, but there's like people standing too close to me, and I'm feeling like uncomfortable. I got to get there as soon as I can. So I got home and I opened it up, and it was like, oh, I didn't mean to get this. So so then another time I went back, I went to take it back, and I hadn't put it back adequately. It was like it was a sheet, and it was like it was a fitted sheet, and there's not easily foldable. And they stick a piece of cardboard in between it, and so like oh gosh, it's terribly complicated to get it back how it was. So I gave it back not how I'd received it. So I said, I'm bringing this back because it's not, you know, it was the wrong size, it was too big, it was everything, it wasn't what I expected. And she said, well, you shouldn't have taken it. So we had like a discussion, and I said, but I can't use it, and I haven't used it. I just haven't put it back properly. And in this shop, like, people take things off the shelf, you know, and they look at them, they open them up, and then the staff fold them up very nicely and put them back. So I said to her, she said, you should have like packed this like properly. So I said, well, I thought that's like, you know, that's what your expertise is in. No, like, you know, it's your job. And we had an interesting discussion about it, and I like got very upset. And so they had this big bed there, and I opened the whole thing, and I with my gloves on as well, you know, I want to get out of here. And I didn't manage to do it. And so I just, you know, and she refused to change it. And I asked her what her name was and everything, like, and she said, you have to take this to customer service. I'm not going to take it back. If I can't sell it, then you can't, you know, you can't exchange it. So I came back home and I figured out how to do it, and you know, it was all nice and flat and everything. And then this is like, these are like weeks going by. I wasn't there every day. But anyway, so I went back there with you know, the properly folded everything, and I saw she was the manager of the shop, and she was just about to leave, and I went up to her and I said, I want to apologize, like the way I spoke to you the other day. Don't you remember me and everything, but I just want to show you that I laid it out and I was wearing gloves. So, you know, put it on somewhere clean, and I was wearing gloves so that, like, you know, it's not being touched by me. And just take a look at it. And I, you know, I want to apologize about the way I spoke to her. And she said, oh, no problem. And she took it and she changed it for me. So, but that was a result of the night before we were going through
4-H apology.
4-H apologies, and if you have to say, also if you have to say something unpleasant, how do you say it? So what's in the book, what's in the training videos, it really does work if you just like apply it. You have to like remember to apply it. But
so we have reached the end of the time. Next week we will zoom ahead with the next video, which has activities. But this week's activity is to please care for the Mandela Week and think about what you can do for 67 minutes. It can be anything from, if you want to find people to contribute loving classroom books to Tulani, who's still short of 4,000. Please contribute books, or if you know South African friends so that they can join in the campaign, you can just go to the top of lovingclassroom.com, and that's where you can just contribute the books. Or if it's just 67 minutes doing something for anybody, or I don't know if you know, it has to be 67 minutes, even if it's 6.7 minutes and you go into a supermarket to buy some ice creams for the coffee person, that's also pretty cool. So literally pretty cool. So I am so touched by all your 4-H responses. I'm absolutely mesmerized, Joyce, by your story. I feel I walk out of this group with such a desire to live and be good and shine with everybody. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining the group. And please join us next week when we will zoom ahead with the next video and more activities.
bye. Thank you.
Before you go,
yes.
Happy birthday to your daughter.
Happy birthday to Hila. Love you. Thank you. Bye bye, everybody, gorgeous people.
Bye.